This is the Extra 10% podcast, helping you get paid tomorrow for what you do today. Invite John Holowaty and Mark Hudson to join you at the breakfast table, ride with you to work, or just randomly stumble across them in the afternoon. Let's get the extra 10% out of your day.
Okay, how we doing? We are back to normal, back in the kitchen with Mark.
Yeah, this is Chef Ramsay. I need to get over to the stove and
what is all that paper like? It looks like you've been practicing a musical instrument.
This here?
Yeah, that paper stuff. Is it? What's that thing that stood up?
Is this what you mean? Yeah, it's just like a recipe book stand, I guess. It's all
right. It looks like someone's been stood there playing the violin while making an omelette.
Yeah, you've never heard of you've heard of the naked chef, but have you heard of the violin chef? That's what that is. Yeah, the kitchen. I'm actually in here because I study. So basically on Saturdays now, Lauren works, so her sort of studios are open on the weekends, right? Her photography studios. So my kind of day to look after Phoenix on my own is a Saturday. Now he's not actually here right now on a Saturday, but I've stopped going to the office on a Saturday for now, and I'm just working from home. But the office today that I normally sit in, it's a little bit messy. Too many of his toys in there. He's starting to, bug me a little bit, this little lad. No,
turned into a teenager.
Yeah, but he's actually, Lauren has decided to have, I think, either the morning off or whatever, and her and my sister have gone to some little artisan cafe thing, I suppose, to get out of the house and actually see some humans for once. So they've taken the little lad, with them. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'm in the kitchen.
And coffee.
Yeah.
So, so we wanted to talk about delegation. What do you know about it?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically right now, I'm in a process business-wise where, as I suppose CEO and founder the last 3 years or so, 3-4 years, I've pretty much been, I guess, running everything, right? So there are elements from the design side and stuff that I don't physically click the buttons in Photoshop and then build it in online or anything. Fair enough. But I've had a heavy, I guess, influence in the day-to-day of getting stuff done for clients, right? So I'd be speaking to clients, I'd be, speaking to the developers, and essentially I knew everything that was going on down to the individual task level, right? And that's fair enough, because I think as you found a company, you've got to know those things for a number of reasons. One is so that you know things are getting done. And two is so you can optimize. So if you know the things that are going on, you're more likely to be able to kind of review them and go, this isn't quite working. We need to improve it, switch it out, whatever. Anyway, as I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, well, maybe I didn't actually, I brought in sort of like a head of operations, a guy with loads of experience, worked for $1 billion corporation before, seen that company basically go from a couple of $100 million and then be sold for over $1 billion. And so he basically wanted to do it again, find a reasonably small company, I suppose, which we would be, and then help them grow to a sellout, in 10 years or something like that, which is obviously our plan. So he's come in, and the reason why that long story long here is that I'm now in the process of delegating all the day-to-day tasks to him. And so he has come in as operations, which is fair enough. So he runs the project management software now. So over the last month, he's been getting to grips with that, getting to grips with obviously our customers and talking to them so that he knows all their ins and outs, their quirks, wants, needs, etc. Also getting to know the development team and how they work. And again, nothing's black and white. So there's always emotion, there's always politics involved in when you have humans involved, right? So it's not just about him writing a list of tasks for someone to do. It's about writing it in such a way that gets the most out of that person, based on feedback or, different things like that. So he's kind of now up to speed with all that. And so for me, it's almost like freeing in that, I can now concentrate on business growth.
Freeing. Freeing.
I feel free. So I guess what I would say is, and I don't want to use the word bogged down, but no,
you've got space.
I feel like, you probably hear my dog barking in the background, but I feel like over the last 4 years, I've been not spending enough time on the progress of the company. And I've spent a lot more time, I suppose, at the coalface, actually, in the work. So now what this is allowing me to do, which we'll see the benefits over the next 6 to 12 months, is I'm able to almost sit on top of the business and really look at how things are working, how the processes are flowing, as opposed to being in the processes themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
So it's not easy. We've spoken about this before. It's like, I suppose as a founder of a company, you do things a certain way, you build it up, et cetera, and it's quite nerve-wracking to hand the reins over to somebody else to do it, because you don't know, are they going to do it as good as me? It's almost an egotistic thing, like the idea that someone wouldn't be able to come in and do it as good as me. And in fact, what's actually ironic about it is that they'll do it better because they're just concentrating on that one thing. Of operations. But so that's the process that I'm kind of going through now when it comes to delegation. Is one is understanding what I should and shouldn't be delegating. So it's kind of like, what am I best at, etc., and then handing over those reins. And I've kind of already gone through that process, and hence why operations is the thing I'm brought someone in for. But yeah, that's kind of my sort of process so far, is that like it's only of benefit to get people who are specialists in operations, because that's his background, doing operations, as opposed to me, who actually, I'm more of a sales / idea generation person. And so I've been doing operations, but just, I guess, mediocre, I suppose, if I was going to be as honest as possible. So yeah, what about yourself? What kind of examples have you got of like delegating wise? Because I know we speak about delegation a lot, and we'll come on to things like ironing and whatever, but
my biggest thing there, what you said was like, I remember when I first started delegating stuff in terms of like, I'm a bit of a delegator anyway, like naturally. If people want to do stuff for me and take things off my hands, then I'll let them do it. Like, I won't fight them. If someone says, "Oh, I'll do that for you," I just go, "Yeah, cool." Like, if they offer, I'll say yes. So, and I kind of have that natural thing of not even a shortcut. Like, I mean, I do like shortcuts. I think there's a difference between cutting corners and taking shortcuts. And I was on about this the other day. Like, Bill Gates says, when he wants to find, when he's looking to hire people, he finds people that will find the quickest way to the place that he wants to go. I
think his specific quote, which is almost even funnier, is he says like something like, "I find the laziest person, because the laziest person will find the quickest way to do it, and that's what I actually want." So anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so there's that, and it's like, I just know that I love doing, like, we've talked about this loads of times. It kind of goes into different angles, but we only have a certain amount of time and a certain amount of energy. So I want to make sure I'm putting my time and energy into the things that I like doing, which is actually the things that I'm good at. So if someone says to me, "You've got to do this, this, and this," I'm like, I don't want to do that. So can we get someone else to do it? And it's pretty much as black and white as that. But when I first started using like people to do things for me, I don't want to say using, that's the wrong word, but getting people to do things.
No, but at the end of the day, look,
bringing people in to enhance, because it's not like, I think people sometimes misunderstand delegation. Like, you sat there like Mr. Burns on The Simpsons, like twiddling your thumbs and like, right, what can I do? How can I get?
So you're still flat out doing, but instead of doing 80 hours a week, doing 5 different things, you're now just doing 80 hours a week on one thing and actually progressing it. And then you've got other people spending 40 hours a week on individual sort of tasks.
Yeah. So it's just like booking flights. I hate doing that. I just can't. And some people love it. And then spreadsheets, I'm not a fan of. I'm not actually a fan of figures. I just want to know, are we up or are we down? Right. We're up, we're down. Right. Why are we down? What do we need to look at? Why are we up? What are we doing well? What do we need to improve on and speed up? So I like it as basic and as simple as possible. And I remember watching Richard Branson speak at an event. Who's probably the king of delegation. I think he runs something like, or he's the CEO of like 180 companies, and he's just brilliant at getting people in for operations. That isn't necessarily my skill set, because our company does a lot of that stuff for us already. But in terms of my brand, the John Holowaty brand, as in who I am and what I want to do, I've managed to get some great people around me that do things a lot better than me, that are a lot more passionate about those things than me as well. And the biggest takeaway is, don't fall into the trap of, oh, I'll just do it myself, it'll be quicker. Oh, I'll just do it myself. Because at the beginning, that's where I was at. Oh, I'll just do it. And people that don't understand, well, surely it's just quicker. Like, why do you need someone to book your flights? Well, by the time I've logged in and put my card details in and searched for the flights and all this, and then sometimes the card payment doesn't go through, all the bullshit that you have to go through, I just cannot be doing with any of that stuff online. It's like, it's just so much quicker to get someone who's really, really fast at doing it, can do it, search through the Sky Scanner, find the right places, arrange the pickups. But at the beginning, I think, like everything, is learning a new skill. So when you start delegating in terms of business for the first ever time, you will know that you've got to get better at it. Right. So when I first started using people for things that were better than me, Adam, there was this little gremlin inside me that was just going, oh, just do it yourself, it'll be quicker. Like, so why isn't it? It should be just quick enough to jump on and book the things yourself, or do this and do that. But it isn't. It really, really
it isn't in the long run, I suppose. Like,
yeah.
There's sort of two things I want to touch on. The first, I guess, is that, yeah, all right, in the short run, like, it takes a little bit more time, because you've got to train somebody in the way things are done, right? So you've got to do that handover, I suppose. It's not instant.
Create the system.
Yeah, so you've got to spend that time, and fair enough, that's going to take longer than you just doing the activity. So for me, for example, I wanted to, because I'm actually just thinking as well, you've got operations in your business, you've also got operations in your life. So yeah. I don't do any of my ironing or cooking, some of these things that are like operation, we spoke about, I won't go into those now, but it took me longer at first. So let's say I was hungry, it could have just taken me 20 minutes, let's say, to cook a meal. But for me to go out and research a meal prep company, look at 2 or 3 different ones, watch some reviews, then place an order and select the meals I wanted, that took like over an hour or more. So the difference between just booking, just making a meal and then doing all the research and then placing an order with a meal prep company, of course, making the meal was significantly quicker, and therefore in the short run was a benefit. But here's the difference I guess I've noticed between successful people and I guess less successful people, is that successful people are willing to sacrifice in the short term for the long-term gain. So it's kind of like they're willing to put that, in the instance of meal prep, an hour or 2 into that once, and then never have to worry about it ever again, right? So all those 20 minutes of cooking every day or more, I don't even do anymore, right? So that's one element, is you've got operations in business and in life. And the other thing is that, I guess as a question is, do you think it's down to like, how much do you actually value your time at? So like, tell me what your thoughts are on that, for, using the example, I guess, of booking flights. Like, what do you think it? Yeah.
First of all, I just want to ask, so you get all this meal prep done, but you've got a massive recipe book open in your kitchen. Is that just for show?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And also, I suppose Lauren still, she still cooks.
So Lauren is your food prep. Is that, or is
no, she's not. No.
I hope she doesn't watch this.
Well, she didn't play the violin at the stand.
That's what you should have said at the beginning. No, it's just our violin music stand. Going back to your question. On
the other side of it, it's just plain. There's not. It's just white on the other side. It's just all for show on the back. It's just a cover. But anyway, yeah, carry on. Sorry.
What was the question again?
Well, basically, like, do you think that the reason why a lot of people don't delegate is they don't actually value their time high enough?
I don't think they understand it, and I think they can't afford it. When I've spoken to people like, get a cleaner, no, I can't afford a cleaner. Well, you can pay a cleaner 20 quid to blitz your house in 2 hours or in an hour or whatever it'll take, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about all the stuff that's needed. Like, I have a cleaner here in this apartment, and she's great, and she just rocks up, puts some tunes on for her. I go to the gym, and she cleans, and then when I come back, the apartment's spotless. The job is done. We have a little high five. See you later. And that, for me, I would hate doing it. It'd take me too long. I don't really know that much about how it all works. So I actually value my time, and I know it's only like a mop and a brush, but
No, but I'm just laughing because it's the same. Like, I wouldn't know what cleaning products to
yeah,
clean mirror
exactly.
with,
Yeah,
or
yeah. So, but then I think society's like, oh, you're a mummy's boy, and we get like that. We can get bullied into like, no, hang on a minute, I don't want to fucking clean. Like, I don't like it. So
yeah,
she loves it. She gets the tunes pumping, and she.
she's
I've
away.
got the tunes on, and I'm in the gym. I get to do my workout. So I think it's understanding that you do have a choice. If you just stop for a minute and think, well, I got my workout done, I've sent some messages, I can make more in that 2 hour slot than £20 per hour, right?
And
So
also,
that's
your cortisol levels won't be increased. So it's not even
yeah.
just black and white of the monetary sum. It's the like, we are only on this planet for, let's say, 80, 85 years. Like, do you want to spend an hour a week times 85 years wasted? I would consider cleaning.
Unless
Like,
you love it.
and
Unless
yeah,
you
but this is the same with everything, right?
yeah.
Every statement we make has this caveat of like, all right, if you don't want to delegate cooking because you like it, then don't delegate that. But you might not like, I don't know, you might not like driving, so you have a chauffeur or you get a taxi. Whereas somebody else who delegates cleaning actually loves driving. So obviously, you've got to
That's
think.
what I was going to go on to, the chauffeur thing. That was my next point, because think about that one as a time-saving element, plus a safety element. I nearly got killed in a head-on collision with a truck a few years ago, and that was all through trying to do too many things at once. I'd done an event I think I'd done an event in Northampton. I was driving to Birmingham. We went out after the event. We'd had a few drinks. Didn't leave too early in the morning, so there wasn't any alcohol in my system or anything like that. But I was completely exhausted. I was just shattered, and I was trying to get my energy levels up by messing around with my phone to put some high energy music on. And I missed the junction, and I was like, shit, now what am I going to do? And then you make once you make one bad decision, you generally make another bad one.
You
So
start trying to rush decisions and stuff.
yeah, instead of going, well, just come off at the next one and go back on the roundabout and go that way, I was like, right, I'm not going back on myself. No way. I just can't do it. So I looked on the sat nav, and there was like a thing that cuts across, so that will rejoin the motorway, the other motorway. So I was like, right, I'm just going to go down this country lane. So came off at the next junction, drove down this country lane. Then I was in a rush to pull my time back, because the sat nav then says, oh, you're an hour away from your destination, when I was half an hour away before. So psychologically, all these negative things are going on. And I overtook this Toyota Yaris or whatever it was, this little car it was on a single country road. There's no car in front of me on the opposite side. And then out of nowhere, this massive HGV van was literally, I was just staring right at it. And I would look to my left, and I'm like side by side to this little Toyota. I was either going to just pull the car to the left and literally wipe the car off the car next to me off the road, or I put my foot down in the car that I was in and hope to God that it just had a little bit of acceleration, but it was an automatic as well. So I just put my foot down, and the person who I was with in the car just looked up and went, oh my God, because they were on the phone, and then they looked up and they just saw this frigging HGV like coming towards us. And I was like, fuck. And I just put my foot on the accelerator, and praise God, the car just went boom, and it just shot forward. I quickly pulled across. This is probably going like 50 mile an hour, maybe 60. And the truck, we went like that. We missed each other. But it was just like deadly silence. There was no like, he didn't beep his horn, I didn't beep mine. It was the Toyota's fault, because he saw me trying to overtake him, so he thought, you're not overtaking me. So he actually put his foot down. Right. He didn't see the truck coming either. And then it wasn't even a bend. It was like, like a long bend that you don't really think is that you think it's longer than what it was. And then out of nowhere, this frigging truck just come hurtling towards me. And I remember I had shock that whole day. Now, going back to the point, if I'd have had a driver, I would have been able to have a little sleep in the car. I would have been able to sit there. I'd have been able to do my messages. I'd have been able to build my business. All his focus is on is getting me from A to B as safe as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm spinning a million plates, got emotions going on in my mind because I'm tired, because I'm running late, because I've lost half an hour, make bad decisions, little things like that. And you can see how, like, you know, road accidents happen and things like that just through being in that rush and delegating, saying, you know what, I want to just sit in the back of a car and
it's, I think, like, the sum to sum up that is literally just like, if you are just focusing on one thing, you're going to do it better. Like, it's just the way it is. So, like, if you're just focusing on the business side in the back seat, you're going to do that better. If you're just focusing on, I want to get more pumped and more energy, you'll be able to select the right song and you'll do that better. If you're looking at getting sleep, if that's the thing, you'll do that better. And the person doing the driving is just doing the driving, they'll do that better. And I think that's the exciting part about it. See, this is the thing about delegation, is like, see it more as an investment than a cost. Is that like, well, if I can bring in my instance, you know, if I can bring in this guy as head of operations, that means that it costs me X, Y, or Z in salary for that person. But I don't see that as a cost. I see that, well, if I invest in this person, then I can, like you said, go over here and spend more time, let's say, on sales, where I'm actually feeding the bank account more so than, like, because let's say if we think about an hour thing, right, is imagine I can make a sale every single day on this new, you know, venture, right? This new sort of side where I'm just concentrating on sales. I can make a sale a day. Well, the other one was maybe I could make a sale a week, let's say, because I was thinking about sales 1 minute, then marketing, then operations, then HR, then whatever, you know, doing all these things. So there's only enough time and mental capacity to be able to make one sale a week. So now you go as a business. So it might cost you the equivalent of one sale to hire this person, right? But you're able to now make 5 sales in the same amount of time. So then actually you're making 3 sales more or 4 sales more than the investment it takes in the person, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, it comes down to the income producing activities, like hitting. And if you looked at it I remember watching, like, going back to sport analogy, like, you don't want Lionel Messi running back trying to like defend a corner or whatever. It's like, what are you doing? No, save your energy for in the box.
Right.
We want you doing the work where we're going to get the highest impact. So we don't want you wasting, because in a sports game, you've only got, same as life, you've only got so much time and so much energy to make an impact. So we want our best players, we want our most impactful players to be in the areas of where they can have the most impact. So it's the same with your business. You're like, well, is the majority of the money made? Well, it's made in this area. Who's the best at doing that? Me. So I need to spend, if I've got 100 units of energy, I need to spend 100 units of energy doing that, not going 70 units of energy into this and 30 units of energy into, you know, sorting this, that, and the other out. And it's the same in my business. It's like, where can you put me where I'm going to have the most impact? So all the stuff, it's like, if I was doing, for example, as a personal trainer, if I with my gym, if I'd have been tired for a session and I didn't deliver the session with as much energy and as passionate as normal, because I'd been cleaning the gym, because I've been making phone calls, because I've been fixing equipment, all this kind of stuff that I've not enjoyed, my income's gone down and my energy's gone down. So it's like, you've got to, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about an investment. It's an investment in your time. It's actually an investment in your happiness as well, because
I think that is key. Yeah. It's the if you don't like doing something, and like, using the sports analogy, every great sports person, and there's obviously the new documentary, I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen clips of the Michael Jordan thing, is like, you're almost only as good as the team you surround yourself with. So like, you know, Lionel Messi, in his instance, he doesn't think about, you know, where his kit being made or being made. He just puts the kit on. Same with his boots, same with, you know, whatever. He doesn't worry about the grass being cut on the field. You know, he doesn't worry about selling the tickets to people to arrive. He doesn't worry about blowing up the football. You know, he doesn't worry about any of these things. And equally, he doesn't worry about if there's a penalty that, you know, against his team, that he's got to go in goal and save it. And so it's like, you've got to have faith in your team. So it's not about just bringing people in willy-nilly. You've got to actually think, no, I want the best cleaner, because I know that I won't have to waste any time once they're up to speed. I'll never have to worry about it. Everything will be exactly how I want it. And that's just in your life. If you're talking business, it's like, yeah, I want the best marketer. I want the best operations. I want the best, developer, whatever it might be, because as soon as they're up and running in that first week or two, then you never have to worry about that area ever again in your life. Whereas if you bring in people that are shit, you will have to keep going back. So one of the things I learned actually over the years is, rather than trying to save money on bringing in maybe not as great people in certain areas and then trying to train them up to be 18 players, so maybe bringing in B's and C's and then trying to, turn them into 18 players, it doesn't happen. It actually ends up costing you more than the difference between just investing in an 18 player on day one. So as a quick example is, rather than paying 20 grand for somebody and going, all right, I'll train this person up to be as good as someone or better than if I had to pay 30 grand, actually you end up spending more time than the 10 grand difference between a 20 grand and a 30 grand. So you might as well just go, I'll just bring in a 30 grand person and they can hit the ground running on day one and never have to worry about them. And that's one of the things that I've learned going back to being an investment is, forget it being a cost. It's an investment in your time. And you just hit the nail on the head, in your excitement, your stress levels, the things that you love about life. Because again, going back to, we've only got 80, 85 years on this planet if we're lucky. So it's like, why the hell, like in your instance, you're extending your life potentially by going to the gym at the same hour that someone's cleaning your house. Now, all right, people could argue that you get a bit of a workout in cleaning your house, but not on the same level as going to the gym, right?
Well, I'm doing something that I love every day. So I'm pretty simple. Like, it ain't about money in the bank for me. That's obviously important, but it's actually about, do I close my eyes at night and go, yeah, I did everything that I wanted to do today? Or do I go, fucking hell, that was a shit day. I hated that. And I think this is what I wanted to touch on in delegation is, we never really talk about this, but society makes it out that delegating is a bad thing. Like, you'll always hear about, oh, it's easy for them. They've got a celebrity. They've got a living chef. Well, all right, you might not be able to afford a living chef, but you can get a food prep company to deliver a week's worth of food. Oh, it's easy for them. They've got a personal trainer every single day. Well, you might not be able to afford a personal trainer every day, but you can get a personal trainer once a week, or you can join a live workout on Zoom or Facebook. You can do your own version of it. Hey, I can't afford a private jet, but what I can do is I can get myself an a lounge pass. I can go and sit in the airport lounge and do my work in there. I can upgrade my ticket to, get extra leg room, even though I don't need it. Or I can go business class. Do you know what I mean? You've got your own. It's all relative to who you are in your situation. So don't hate on it. Don't hate. Find your way to embrace it.
And do you think as well, which I hadn't really considered before, but the way at school, we're not taught to master anything. We're taught to be like average at everything. So, like the bell curve of like, they don't want everybody getting A's and everyone getting D's. They want most people in the B, C, that kind of like on the bell curve, right? So if you don't really enjoy maths or geography, but you're mint at like history or music or business studies, let's say, they won't say, okay, you don't really need to do maths. Just put that same amount. Well, let's just do 2x of business studies or 2x of music and actually become a master at it. So what we're actually, I suppose, coached, and going back to this whole brainwashing of what a school is you're taught that, no, it's not about being a master at anything. It's about being average at everything. And then you go into life thinking that like, oh no, I need to be the person who washes my car, cleans my clothes, does the work at work. You're taught to be just average at everything. But if you really think about the most successful people, is all Michael Jordan ever thought about was shooting hoops, essentially. He didn't think about food, trainers. All right, he thought about trainers in that he got his thing, but he didn't think about where to buy them from or any of that kind of stupid stuff, right? And it's like, that's the difference between an average person, I suppose, and a successful person in anything, not just doing money, not just doing business, in anything, is they've actually mastered it. They've actually mastered a certain element of it, as opposed to just being average in all of it. So for example, Messi, he might be, I don't know, I'm making this up, like a terrible, I don't know, driver, let's say. So he can't drive to save his life. So he has a chauffeur. So it's like, but he doesn't care because he just mastered football. He just mastered putting the ball in the goal, basically. And it's kind of like, that's what you've got to understand. And the best thing to do is to decide, what do you want to master? And then also, is it necessary? So for example, me deciding to master, like, I don't know, I mean, even that, I was going to think like cutting the grass, but even that is a thing, because if you were a master grass cutter, you'd probably be cutting the grass for Buckingham Palace or something like that. But like, what I'm trying to say,
you know, you wouldn't do it as well. Like I have a gardener, and I know I'm not even in that house at the minute, but I know he texts me and he goes, grass is cut, can you pay us? Right? I don't have to think about the lawnmower. I don't have to think about the weather. I know for a fact, if I had to cut my own lawn, it would never get done.
right,
It would be an absolute pain. I don't even own a lawnmower. I don't want to own a lawnmower. So you might be going, oh, 35 quid every 2 weeks. It's a lot of money to spend on having your grass cut or whatever it is. Well, not really, because I would never get round to doing it in the first place. And
surely you have to spend 200 quid on a lawnmower or something.
Yeah,
as well.
and still have to, and then I've got to store the lawnmower. It's literally turn up, get it done, see you later. Don't have to worry about it. So the less, I told you this story when I was in Australia last year. I heard this guy preaching the Bible on the streets, and it really resonated with me. It's one of the, out of all the people, like, how many times have you seen someone preaching the Bible on the streets or whatever? I don't never remembered anything that any of them have said, but this resonated with me. And all I heard was, the more you've got, the more you've got to worry about. And I thought, shit, that is so true. So the more you go, no, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to cut the grass. I want to cut this. I want to cook all the food. I want to clean the house. You've got all this stuff going on in your mind, and do you really want to do it? And then the other myth of that, like, I remember my mum saying this to me when I was a kid, and it still resonates now, was sometimes in life, John, you've got to do things that you don't want to do, which is bullshit, right? You don't have to. No, you don't. You don't. If I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. I'll get someone else to do it. So and that's what society has led us to believe, that you have to do stuff that you don't want to do. It has been embedded into us from the history of humanity. Well, sorry, but sometimes in life, you have to do what you don't want to do. No, that's bullshit. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You have a choice to do what you want to do. And if you really don't want to do it, then you don't have to do it. And I think for me, it's like, I've always had that outlook. And I remember my mum saying that to me when I was a kid. I think I was only about 7 years old, and it was about going to I didn't want to go swimming lessons. She's like, I got swimming lessons. I was like, I don't want to go. And I kicked off. I just didn't want to go swimming that day. And she was like, sometimes, John, you've just got to do things you don't want to do and get on with it. And which, obviously, what she means is, like, sometimes you don't feel like it, of course, but you just got to go and do it. But this whole thing of society, oh, if you're not cooking meals, then you're not a real man. Or if you're not if you can't do a barbecue, this whole macho, if you can't set up a barbecue and build, do a barbecue, you're not a real man. If you know the deal, right? It's all bullshit. So my thing is this: what do you want to do? Do you like doing it? And what do you want to do? Do you like doing it? And is it going to add value to your life? And if the answer to that is no, then 99.9% out of 100, you don't have to do the stuff that you don't want to do. There might be the odd occasion where you go, God, I've got to do this now. Like if it's an emergency, right? I remember walking into my kitchen and there was water all over the floor. And I thought, oh shit, what's gone on here? I thought the washing machine has exploded, but a pipe had burst. I didn't actually know what to do. So I ran next door. I ended up delegating it to somebody else. I ran next door and I was like, mate, my kitchen's flooded. I have no idea how to turn. I don't even know where the water clock is, like stop is. Where do you turn it off? So he came in and did it for me. But if I had to, like there and then, that is an example of sometimes you've got to do stuff that you don't do. You got to find a way, right?
And sorry, go on.
No, but in the grand scheme of things, you've realized pretty early in your life, and maybe people listening to this have as well, that you don't, especially if you're in like the industry that I'm in, you've already left the herd. You've already decided that, no, I ain't going to go down the 40-40-40 law. I'm not, because this is why people do 40 years of a job that they fucking hate, because they've been told sometimes in life, John, you've got to do what you don't want to do. Well, sometimes for half your fucking life, 40 years, you've got to do what you don't want to do.
The point is that the actual quote is correct, is sometimes. Now, sometimes to me means like barely ever. So like, you know, if you do something sometimes, I actually don't really.
Maybe that's the new quote. Barely ever, you've got to do something you don't.
Because everything is the 80-20 rule. We spoke about this 1,000 times. Is like you said right at the beginning of this podcast. All I care about is that when I close my eyes at night, that I've had a day that I've enjoyed doing. And so when it comes to doing, so if you think about that every single day, 80%, aka the most of what I did today was what I wanted to do, and it was like value added, right? And only 20% was this things that I didn't want to do. So all your goal really is like, it's not about eradicating things. There's no such thing as like a perfect life. Like that doesn't exist, and that's fair enough. But it's about tipping the scales in the favor of who you want to be as a person. You know, there's the famous video that you and I and obviously good friends of ours watched a lot, which is the Will Smith one, you know, about the alchemist, that video where he's like, you know, make a choice, just decide who you're going to be, how you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it by. Just decide. That's it. Now, most people never decide who they're going to be. No, like most people don't lay it out on the table and go, do you know what? I'm going to be the type of person that dresses like this, that turns up earlier, that, you know, has these sort of goals that I don't like lie to myself, especially about that, you know, oh yeah, I've kind of achieved that. Someone's at my door, so I'm going to have to go answer it. But I think
it's a great time to end. Maybe it's your mum saying, right, Mark, you got to come and help me clean the house.
Anyway, see you next week.
The Extra 10% Podcast. Remember to like the John and Mark Facebook page on Facebook or visit johnandmark.co.uk for exclusive updates and content. Why not share this podcast with a friend and help them get paid tomorrow for what they do today?